I'm gonna make me some more clothespins. This is what it looks like right there. I made another one the other day and it broke a while ago, so I'm gonna make two. I'm gonna make it out of yellow pine this time. I mean, you can make it out of pretty much any kind of wood, I would imagine. This right here is that like whitewood or spruce, whatever. It's almost 15 inches long, about 2¼ inches wide, and you make you a 3/4 slot in there, roughly, and you make that about 10.5 inches, 10.5, 11 inches. Yeah, so you see you got about 4 inches of up here of solid. So that's just a preference. So I use this as an outline on this and here. I'm gonna do the same thing on this one. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, ain't nothing complicated about it. And they're really handy things to have. I mean, you will not believe how handy these bad boys are to have. Especially, putting out tongue and groove. That's mainly what it's for. Like I say, it's I mean, I don't know if you could use it really for making it used for anything else or not, really. Might could. I mean, you just have to try it and see, So I'm going to go ahead and drill me a hole right there. Like so. See, like I said, it ain't got to be perfect. Unless you're a perfectionist, which I'm not. I know a lot of people are, and that's fine. That's what floats your boat. Let it float. For something like this, like I say, I had 3 of these years ago when I did my house, and I let them outside or something. I don't know what happened to them. So it ain't that big of a deal. They're cheap. Take a piece of scrap wood. It's all hunky dory. Let's see. I might need to let this thing in a little bit. So you could use a jigsaw. You could use a skill saw, I guess, whatever you want to use. And whatever's simplest and whatever you got. I think I made these others, and I think if I remember right, I think I might have used a jigsaw to make it. But you don't want it to be sloppy. You want it to fit snug. And just like that right there. That fits on there fairly snug on there. Might be a little bit too snug right up in here. I might need to trim that out a little bit. Make it fit on there a little bit better. So it'll slide on down. Let's see what we can do with that. Just a trim. That's all right there. That'll work. I'm going to tie it near the top. Just a little bit out. Oh yeah. That's what I do. I take, I'm trying to get the boards seated down. You got a pretty long board or whatever. Just take them, put it on there like that, and put your clothespin on there to help hold it, like that. Except you're going to be a lot further apart. But it'll help hold your board in place for you. And that's a really freaking handy tool to have. I don't care how you look at it. When you're working by yourself, you You ain't got but two hands, you know, and you trying to put up a 14, 16-foot board or something close to that. Put one of these kind of on each end. You ain't got to put it very end. I kind of spaced that where it's like a third and 2/3 to put the other one. So you got like a third on each end of your clothespin. That way it holds it up for you while you're trying to get the groove and all this lined up. That's the problem, is these daggone getting these grooves and everything lined up on these last to think of. If it's got a little bit of a bow or something, you know, see how this right here don't even want to fit on that. They didn't cut out the groove actually wide enough to match the tongue. You got to beat it down on there, you know. Not way too far on that one. And what I normally do, I don't even do that, beat it on that tongue up there. What I'll do, I'll take me a scrap piece of board, you know, like this right here. Cut it in half. That way I can set this up on top of there, like this, and I can beat it, you know, take my hammer and smack it, you know, just like that right there. So that's just, you know, why I cut that and that far up like that for. I mean, as long as it works, that's the biggest thing. You just take your piece of this and just split it and use it and set it on there, and you can take your hammer and smack this all you want, you know, to beat this down on top, you know, to get that tongue and that groove seated together. And like I say, some of them are not, they really don't want to go together good at all. I mean, I can look at this right here and tell that this tongue is wider than this tongue right here. And that's the problem when you're getting stuff. I don't know if I can measure that. That's almost 1/4 of an inch. And that there is like 3/16 of an inch. That's a big difference whenever you're trying to get something to match up. 1/4. Right there, it's a little bit more than 3/16, but it's not 1/4 like this. You got to force that down on there. And like some other situations I had out here, I was, you know, just having problems with stuff and everything, and just I'll take it around there and I'll show what I'm talking about. I'm not no cameraman. I can get by. That's about it. So I know people probably say, man, this guy here don't know what the hell he's doing. And I don't really. I just make out like I do. You know, I put on a big show, make it look like I know what I'm doing. But yeah, it's just one of them things. Some people are really good at stuff and some people ain't. And that's me. There's one right there I broke. So I should have cut it out with a jigsaw where I had more meat up here on the end, right up here. Should have cut it out with a jigsaw, because see, I cut that. It went up too far on that one. But, you know, I had one right now, right here. Yeah. To get this top up here to match, I had to raise that up right there a little bit. This down here don't match. So they cut the groove on this, and it's cut a little different than this one right here. So either they made it shorter, or the blades cut it differently or something. It might have changed blades, you know, on the cutting dies or whatever. I don't know. All I know is you got to try to make it match. So you need to make it match up there, at least up there, you know, on that top. You need to make it match right there. You don't have a big gap there. So that's just a small difference right there. You ain't even talking maybe a little over 1/16 or something like that. So, but you need to keep this as level as you can. So some of your boards are bowed and stuff. You know, like I say, I've got one where I showed off using wedges and everything else. You know, to fix some of this stuff. You know, where it's bowed up or it's bowed in the center or it's bowed up. It's bowed up on the end like that, or like in the center, it's bowed like this. And make good. You could use it for making canoes, I guess. But I got to try to use it out here, so I got to get it down. And it's a lot of work, but it's coming along. But that's just some little handy things to make, and you can use it, put it in the ceilings also. So it's, I mean, that's where I use it in my house with the ceilings. Walls ain't no problem. I was standing the boards up on the walls, and those boards are only like 7 or 8 foot tall, something like that. You know, so. But it's just like anything else. You gotta figure it out. But really cloudy today. Today is Thursday. Really cloudy. Humid as crap. I mean, I can just feel the sweat on my back and my chest and everything. I mean, I ain't sweating profusely, but it is really humid. This is the South. It's gonna be humid. Don't get me wrong, I'd rather have this weather like this any day than freaking freezing cold weather. I just do not like cold weather at all. A lot of people, oh, I like the cold weather. You know, well, that's great. You know, I'm glad somebody likes it. But I just don't have no use for it. For one daggone thing, it's just too damn blame cold. I can't seem to put on enough clothes. You know, so. But I like the warm weather, whether it's humid or not. There's that's my old clothespin right there. Yeah, if you're putting up any tongue and groove, definitely need to make some of these. That's a single man's, I guess you could call it your girlfriend, I guess, if you wanted to, or your helper, or whatever you want to call it. Because by God, I tell you what, that thing right there has been a lifesaver, especially when I was doing my house and doing all the overhead, and I had a vaulted ceilings in there. Man, them things right there really, really helped me tremendously. And they've helped me a bunch on this right here, on all this. It's amazing what some little something simple that you can make for, don't hardly cost you anything at the time. Because like I say, it's scrap pieces of wood. It's amazing how something like that can make such a big difference. You know, you ain't got to go out and buy it. You got to make it. And a lot of people make a lot of little jigs and everything. I see guys on YouTube, smart people, really smart. They make jigs to cut like their pieces that go in between their rafters or studs or whatever. They got them a jig set up where they just go along, they just slide it in their zip, take it out, slide it in, zip. I mean, just lickety split. They ain't got to stay there and measure it like I do. Everything. They just made them a jig and cut them a bunch of them. That's, you know, anything to help you out, and then also it improves your time, you know, stuff like that. But I see on this, I just may want to show how I made those daggone things. Maybe it might help somebody else, and I hope it does. But I mean, people out there's a lot of people, you know, trying to do this that had never done it before. And like me, now when I did my house, I'd never done any of that stuff. Now I did have the shell of the house was there, but I had to replace some of the walls in there. And one wall, outside wall, had a curve in it. I had to prop up the ceiling and the roof, and take part of that wall out, and you know, to straighten up that. It had a bow in it, looked like for a bow and arrow. It was a bow. And I just had to figure it out, because like I say, I'd never done that kind of work before. And, you know, it's just, I call my brother down in Georgia sometime about certain things. And there's mistakes. I made some mistakes. I ain't gonna lie. I made some mistakes. I made a lot of uh-ohs. And I fixed some of them. Some of them I couldn't fix. I had to just kind of work around it. And the ceilings in that house were only 7 foot ceilings. They were really low. I had to put tray ceilings in all the bedrooms where I could put a ceiling fan up. So now in the main room, the main room is a big room. It's the kitchen, dining room, living room all together. So I vaulted that ceiling in there anyway. Not a complete vaulted ceiling. It's like it goes up and then it comes across like that. So I have plenty of room to put ceiling fans in that, no problem. But the bedrooms, I had to put what they call tray ceiling in there, so I could put a ceiling fan in where it wouldn't hit my head on when I walked in there. But I mean, you just kind of learn this thing on the fly. And I know a lot of people could criticize me for stuff I've done and everything, even using the table saw. I'm sure, I should have used the push thing, and I did a little bit, but, it's everybody's different. But if you want to criticize me, hey, I can take criticism. I don't care. I know I do some stupid stuff, especially on this kind of stuff like this and using these saws and stuff. I try to be careful, just like anything else. I don't care how careful you are, you could always still get hurt. Vulcan Materials was notorious. Oh, they said, just about all accidents can be prevented. I said, no, they can't. Oh, yes, they can. I said, you telling me if I'm walking across the doggone yard out there and an airplane falls out of the sky and lands on me and kills me, that could be prevented? Well, that's not really, oh yeah, that's an accident. Plane fell out of the sky, crushed me, killed me, blew me up, burnt me up, whatever. And you tell me that accident could be prevented? No, it can't. Some stuff is just Mother Nature just don't like you, and she's going to throw a tree on you or something. You have no control over that. Now, whatever you're doing and you get hurt, most of the time you can control that. You're supposed to, like when you cut with a knife, and you're supposed to pull it toward you, you're supposed to push it away from when you're cutting anything. And, but all accidents cannot be prevented. They kept trying to say it could. And I used to argue with them about it. I told me, y'all are idiots if y'all think all accidents can be prevented. That's just, physically impossible. Majority of them, yes. Majority of them usually is human error. But there are some mistakes, like something breaks and falls on somebody and hits them. Hey, there ain't nothing you can do about that. I mean, unless you, they said, well, you should have been inspected. Yes, and you probably did inspect it, and it probably looked all right. But there's always hidden things that you can't see that could cause something to fail. Rust or dirt and everything got packed in around something. It don't matter. And, I don't get me wrong, I wish all accidents could be prevented. But, there's always mechanical for everything, even like computers. Everybody says, talking about how a great computer is. Well, yeah, but they're made by humans. Well, I guess they still are. They might be made by robots. Hell, I don't know anymore. But anything that's man-made can fail. I don't care what it is. There could be some kind of small little factor in there that could cause that thing to fail. You might not see it. You might not know about it. There's always a chance, something that is made by humans. There's always an option. There's always a likelihood that it could fail. And most people don't like to hear, oh, my product is safe. There's no way it could fail. Yeah, whenever you're making that product, I ain't saying your design made it fail, but when you're making it, the product you use could have a fail point. Just like the Titanic. It was supposed to be unsinkable. Well, they couldn't get the same metal for the boat where they was getting it from, is what I heard. So they bought some cheaper, inferior metal to make the hull with, and that's what cracked and failed and caused it to sink. Was they had to wind up using a different, or got metal from a different country or something, I don't know, or it was made cheaper or something, and it failed. I mean, that's just, and all them people died. So it's always a possibility. I mean, something can fail. I don't care how you look at it. Well, my opinion is like the saying goes, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and that's fine. Everybody should have an opinion, you know. But let's just try to keep it to a minimum, much as we can so you can get something done. Have a good day. Enjoy life much as you can.